Remember me? I did a video essay a while back about the Slenderverse, an online community of artists centering their work around the internet urban legend, the Slender Man. Him? That guy? I also did an essay about the Slender Man in general, which I dedicated one part of to the history and cultural impact of Marble Hornets, the first unofficial Slender Man webseries. Remember Marble Hornets? Do you remember? Marble Hornets ended in 2014 on the 5th anniversary of its first aired video. Since then, there have been a lot of unanswered questions about the story in general, the lore, the fates of certain characters, and more. But this video isn't about any of that. Well, not much anyway. I want to talk about Marble Hornets thematically, and what it may have accidentally done by being about the things it was about, potentially outside of the creator's intentions. Because whether or not there was ever meant to be a complete picture of Marble Hornets, of its characters, of its twisting and turning mysteries, of its structure, or even of its central theme, that incomplete picture, the one we all currently have, presents a really comprehensive look at one concept in particular. Memory. Memory is referenced constantly throughout Marble Hornets. The main antagonist of the series can and has wiped the memories of pretty much all of the series' major characters at one point or another. Everyone in the series has different experiences with this memory loss, and these experiences range from days to years of lost time. So it's safe to say that even if you weren't sure if Marble Hornets was about memory, it's definitely an important, if not essential, element of the story. But I think it is about memory, and I think it's upfront about this theme, and how the series decides to tell its story. Through both its structure and its character goals, the different ways in which we are forced to approach the past is always at Marble Hornets' center. If you're not convinced, well, let's start from the beginning.
You ready to do your speed test for this?
I guess so. I mean, it's been quite a while, so you kind of have to get me up to speed, but...
Right, that's fine. I can set the camera down here.
The premise of the first season of Marble Hornets is enough to see where I'm going with this. Footage from a student film shot in 2006 finds itself in the hands of a friend of college director Alex Crayley, more than 3 years after he discontinued the project. Now, this friend, Jay, has taken it upon himself to go through dozens of old tapes of movie footage, with the explicit goal of archiving Alex's activities and personality throughout the shoot. We all have home videos of one kind or another, right? We often consider those videos memories because they're moments in our personal histories captured. If we view the videos in Marble Hornets the same way, we can begin to uncover what I believe is the season's central theme. The second half of the season focuses on Jay attempting to track Alex down based on what evidence he has, and he doesn't have much. The first half teaches us very simple things about Alex. He's paranoid about something following him around, but isn't afraid to investigate it. He records everything, not just his encounters. And on set, he's significantly irritable. While this isn't necessarily a full or even partial portrait of Alex Crayley, it's clear that Jay is trying to build one. Through contextless videos of Alex alone, Jay is trying to find a person. Jay was only present for some of the student film shoot in 2006, and even given that, his memory of it is limited, so his image of Alex is almost entirely going to be based on what he finds in these tapes. There's also the fact that the tapes themselves are much longer than what ends up uploaded to YouTube by Jay. Often he mentions that there are long stretches of video where nothing of note happens, and therefore he chooses not to include that footage in particular. So our understanding of Alex is through Jay's editing decisions. We are witnessing Jay's lens on Alex. Season 1 of Marble Hornets is about the subjectivity of memory, and how we can come to conclusions about people based on what we learn with a limited window of understanding. With only so much to go on, we often fill in the gaps ourselves, and create our own version of those around us based on what they give us. But memory isn't everything. After all, Jay concludes that Alex is a victim. Jay is wrong.
There's nothing here. What are you wanting me to see? I'm not seeing anything.
At the end of Season 1, Jay proclaims that he's going to go looking for Alex, who appeared to be in danger in a tape Jay received from a mysterious address. And then, 7 months later, Jay wakes up in a hotel room with no memory of the past 7 months. Narratively speaking, memory is obviously at the forefront of Marble Hornets' second season. All 26 entries focus on Jay's lack of understanding of where he is, or how he got there, or what the footage he has even is, and a majority of the mystery once again comes from us learning with Jay. But this time, not just about Alex. Sure, we're given the payoff to Season 1 in that Jay's reading of the memories he was given forced him to draw the wrong conclusion about Alex, because it turns out Alex is more of a perpetrator than a victim. But I would argue that Season 2 is more about Jay and his attempt at trying to build a portrait of himself with his own bag of memories. Like with Alex in Season 1, Jay is not quite sure of who he himself is now, compared to who he was 7 months ago, and only has the limited context of videos on a hard drive to teach him that. More specifically though, I think that Season 2 makes the case that this type of learning is very straightforward. Jay is given access to his memories, albeit out of order, and is overall very easily able to piece these events together. Despite being about memory loss, the season is practically linear. I've seen my fair share of narrative complaints about Season 2, a lot of which being that the memory loss structure was kinda pointless because we practically watched the events in order anyway once Jay started posting video files. But I don't agree with that. It's not pointless. Thematically, the ease of Jay discovering what happened to him only strengthens the notion that we understand ourselves. Our memories are all the context we need when we examine who we are, but not nearly enough when it comes to others. Together, Seasons 1 and 2 solidify that theme, and further exemplify the subjectivity of memory. So, thus far, Marble Hornets suggests that we get more from looking back at our own pasts than we do when trying to interpret others. But what happens when we aren't quite sure of who we are? And at that, we don't want to know.
Hey, Tim. Hey, you're, Tim, right?
Yeah.
Season 2 ends with Jay finding Tim, one of the actors from the student film, at a local antique store. They catch up, and Jay tells him that he's trying to finish Alex's movie for him. Tim agrees to help him in the form of providing more old footage. These are tapes from Tim's perspective. These are Tim's memories. It appears as though we're going to be experiencing Jay's lens on Tim at the start of Season 3, and we do for a while. Using the tapes Tim gave him, we once again begin to see a portrait forming of a man who was reluctantly thrown into circumstances he could not control, who was harmed by the series' antagonist, and who simply wants to forget about this. But we know better than that, don't we? Season 1 showed us that our understanding of others based on what they open up about is limited. Could there possibly be more to Tim?
Shouldn't film you like piece of...
Tim discovers Jay's real intentions. He found the Marble Hornets YouTube channel and realized that Jay has been lying to him in order to get information, to learn more about him and Alex and the thing that stalks them. The thing is, Tim doesn't want to be learned about. He doesn't want a portrait. So not only is memory subjective in what we share, or who we share it with, but why we choose to share what we do. Memories are not the full picture. They're just fragments of a person, something we'll never fully understand without the missing pieces. And for the first time ever in the series, we are eventually given those pieces by Tim.
Well, one of the problems I was having was hallucinations.
After coming around to what Jay did, he and Jay team up, and Tim unloads his truth. It's still one lens and one perspective, but it's the closest we have ever come to fully understanding someone. We are closer than ever to a complete picture of Tim, not of the lore or of the world around him, just Tim.
Wait, what are you trying to say?
I'm saying, what if this is my fault? Alex could be a normal person, you could be living a normal life, so could Jessica, so could everybody else if it wasn't for me. I have no way of knowing that for sure. That's always going to be in the back of my mind. How am I supposed to handle that?
And now we have Marble Hornets' full central theme. The series is about how and why we choose to remember or forget. Different characters conceal and distort their own memories to hide the truth, and the creature at the narrative center warps their perceptions of their pasts even more. Who they were is an unsolvable mystery to others and sometimes to themselves. How could anyone ever hope to find the full pictures of such broken people? Is it possible to truly know a person fully, given their memories alone? Is there a definite explanation for everything? Throughout the series, another YouTube channel would upload cryptic response videos to certain entries under the channel name To The Ark. The person or people who run the channel appear to have extensive knowledge on the situation, and through their coded videos attempt to steer Jay in the right direction, to solve the mysteries and learn the truth. Could this be it? Is this the full picture we were searching for? A runner of To The Ark appears often in the later entries of seasons 2 and 3, sometimes hijacking the Marble Hornets channel to post videos of their own escapades. All the while, the clues begin to pile up. More and more fragments for us to connect, more tissue to fashion our human beings from. They would constantly berate Alex and Tim and even Jay, questioning allegiances, pointing out discrepancies, lies, holes in stories. And the more information they put out, the more that was decoded and shared, the closer the audience felt to feeling the completion of Marble Hornets approaching. It appears for a while that this character truly was an omniscient narrative force, one with all the answers we could ever want but unable to share them all outright in fear of being harmed for it. This character would become one fans would trust the most, sometimes even more than Jay. So this is the series' refute to the subjectivity of memory in Marble Hornets, right? If there is an objective character who can give us all the answers, can reach through the deception and the fragments and the mysteries of these people and the horrors that surround them, then memory can't be subjective. We can understand others without being them, right? No. To The Ark is just another person. A person who has watched the footage and gotten to know some of the people involved on his own, and has come to his own conclusions. Memory isn't objective, especially from an outsider. You can know almost everything, and still not have the full picture. Because there is no full picture. There's only perspective. Tim drives off at the end of Marble Hornets, a majority of the main cast dead in the wake of the mystery nearly being solved. Jay, Alex, and Brian had all become obsessed with one another, of their memories and what harm they could do in the events that those memories begin to spread. They feared opening up should anyone be hurt because of it, and were willing to go to extreme lengths to cover or uncover their secrets. They died with no answers, only questions. Tim leaves with the responsibility to help, to share his experience with others that will also experience it, and to combat the sickness instead of obsessing over its details. Unlike those that died, Tim is no longer interested in what he doesn't remember. What matters is what he does, and how he can go on with what he knows he's done. When you meet somebody, they often open up in parts. People are guarded. They omit or sidestep information they aren't ready to share. Some actively hide who they really are in fear of driving others away or being seen in a negative light. And some just want to forget who they were and bury their memories, so their story will forever remain in pieces. We treat our memories differently. It's a responsibility, a privilege, to know what we do about ourselves, and how others see us, based on what we share, is up to us. Remember that.